right, Michelle, thank you very much for sacrificing your time. I know you are a very, very busy lady, and we're just letting the viewers know as well. If your phone goes, it is probably something very important to do with animal welfare. So we'll just deal with that as it happens.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All righty, Michelle. I'm just going to kick off. Michelle, we featured Michelle and AHAWE in the October issue of the magazine, highlighting the plight of animal welfare. And Michelle is a passionate advocate for animal welfare. She's dedicated her life for over 40 years. She has experience in animal care, animal training, and protection. So I'm going to hand over to Michelle now, and she can just tell you a little bit about herself and some of the highlights for you. Michelle?
Thank you. Antoinette, you know, a lot of people are animal lovers, and I think organically get into the sector. I don't think I've done anything extraordinarily. I think there are a lot of people that can probably tell similar stories of their experience and how they've progressed to reach the point where they've now committed themselves to welfare. You know, I started as a kid. The first time I rescued an animal, I was on a field trip with a nursery school to the Pretoria Zoo, and someone threw a kitten away in a black bag, brown. You didn't have plastic those days, brown paper bag, and I couldn't believe it. And my teacher told me to go, you know, leave it, and it can have all sorts of diseases. And I smuggled the cat in my clothes back onto the bus, and my mother was horrified when we got home. Needless to say, we promptly took it to the SPCA at those days, and I think that's where my realization came about, that there are organizations that actually look after animals that are discarded or neglected, and it's just never stopped since then. Grew up in a house where, you know, we always had animals, dogs, cats. You know, we had farms in the family, so it's not as if I wasn't removed from it, you know. And whether it's pets in your house or production animals, they are sentient, and that realization came to me very early. Obviously, it grew and developed as I became more active in dog sport. I competed in various disciplines and qualified, and typically with what people would call power breeds now. So my absolute passion is Rottweilers and Pitties. I love them. German Shepherds. There's so many brilliant animals, but it's always people find a contradiction, because I absolutely adore Chihuahuas. I think they're brilliant little animals. You know, they just don't know that they're brick size. You know, and then dealing with people that you know, just normal people that just want a pet and something to cuddle and love and appreciate at home. I've dealt with, you know, I mean, we all have, I suppose, many different breeds, and I think it is incredibly unfair to stigmatize a specific breed. I think people need to do research before they get a dog. Lately, our biggest problem is that anything and anyone can breed anything, and anyone, you know, can sell it from their backyards, which is something I think legislation needs to change. You know, it's the root cause of a lot of our problems in the sector. So for me, it was an organic progression, you know, to get involved with the animal welfare sector as a formal sector. The crisis we have right now, and which I've now become more and more and more aware of, you know, as years and years, decades have passed, literally, is that the sector is entirely unregulated from every aspect. We can talk about anything; it's unregulated. The mere fact that we do have the Animal Protection Act and some regulations regarding or pertaining to the Act, and or legislation regarding to production animals, or there's nothing that controls the sector as such. How it must be done, you know, which is hair-raising. it's a nightmare.
Mm,
You know, you want
mm,
to build
mm,
a house, we have
mm,
HRBC.
mm.
Yeah, lawyers have the law
The Law
professions
Society. Yeah.
council. Do you understand?
Yeah. Mm,
Everyone is why not us? You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's insane, and with the amount of complaints, and literally, it's not only dealing with the animals and the challenges of the animals. We have problems in the sector with organizations, with the people that authorize. We have, you know, it's a nightmare.
Mm, mm, mm.
So I think also, you know, mm, I'm a little bit long in the tooth now.
Mm,
So
mm.
um,
It's time for change.
the what I'm trying to say is, you know, we have youngsters coming up, right?
Mm, mm,
It was so ironic for me. You know, there are people dedicating their entire lives to this. And by comparison to some of them, I haven't been in the industry as the formal sector as long as many other people have been, right?
mm, mm.
But there are people that have dedicated their entire lives to the sector and they get absolutely no recognition other than thank you, you know?
If
And,
they
and,
get a thank
and
you, yes.
exactly. I mean, you know,
Mm,
there was, the NSPCA had their AGM this past
mm,
weekend.
mm,
And at the AGM, there was a gentleman, William Biza from Kempton Park SPCA, right? He got a certificate now for 30 years of service.
mm. It's
30
amazing.
years. That's a lifetime, you know?
Yeah.
So other than a certificate, when William leaves, that's what he's got.
Mm,
You know, he's got no recognition, no formal recognition, no qualification, no recognized qualification anyway.
mm,
Yes, internally, but that's it. The minute he
mm, mm,
leaves, it means
mm,
nothing other
mm,
than
mm.
experience. And I think
And it is.
the
Mm,
people at grassroots level who literally boots on the ground need a lot of more respect, recognition. It
mm,
is literally a professional service, right?
mm,
So
mm,
and we are in fact animal law enforcement. So
mm, mm.
that's the bottom line. So you're
Yeah.
a police officer in the eyes of the law, and your mandate is to enforce the Animals Protection Act.
Yes.
So you cannot disregard these people anymore. In a country like South Africa, we are now pushing 64 million people, and like
Mm,
you know we've discussed previously, easily 75 animals per individual in this country, and that's not production animals as well, right? So it's not only
mm,
pets, and we
mm,
cannot count wildlife, right? So because how do you do the census? Who's going to count
mm,
the fish and the birds and the sense?
mm,
So it's
mm,
excluding
mm,
wildlife, right?
mm, mm,
That is a conservative estimate. 75 animals per human alive in South Africa at this point in
mm.
time, with less than 300 inspectors on the ground. How on God's good earth is this? You know,
Yeah.
it's
That
not.
is shocking, actually, that there's, you
So
know.
um,
Mm,
to just talk about the dogs that do not have homes sitting in shelters is not a realistic representation of the
mm,
numbers.
mm,
And it's
mm,
not a realistic representation of what it is that animal welfare inspectors, regardless which flag you fly, right? I don't care. I
mm,
personally don't care which organization you're affiliated to.
mm,
Um, you need to, once you're authorized, you need to be able and ready to assist any
mm,
animal. It doesn't say dogs and cats on your
mm,
authorization,
mm, mm,
right?
mm, mm, mm,
Or any animal. You need to know what to do, and
mm,
and and it's just not possible.
mm,
So please don't get me wrong. I have great respect for the SPCA movement. God help us if we don't have them, right? At this point
mm,
in time, I
mm,
think there's something like 68 societies, not all of which I believe have inspectors. You know,
mm,
it's a challenge, right? No, not
mm,
everyone is cut out to do this. You
mm,
definitely
mm,
need to have a specific type of personality, um, and then a lot of them don't make it because of the intense emotional and psychological draining that happens when you know, the stuff that people get exposed to is not, you can't explain it to people. And it changes you. It literally breaks you, right? In ways that you can't put in words to people, not because you're blubbering clump of emotion, you can't deal with it, but you change. It changes you. And yeah, that's the scary part, honestly. You know, it's we have far too few inspectors. It is a nightmare for me, and this is, I think, one of the things when the penny finally dropped, that there's no formal qualification on the NQF in South Africa for an animal welfare inspector, right? I was like in a daze. I couldn't believe it's been 150 years. We've had animal welfare in South Africa for 150 years and then some, right? The first SPCA was Cape of Good Hope SPCA in I don't know, 18 something, right? So and in all that time, no one has ever thought that we need a formal qualification, because you expect people like William Mbiza to spend 30 years of his life, because he's passionate and he cares, right? To be a role model, you know, because there are too many animals, and you know,
and they have to wear so many hats as well, Michelle, because they're educator, they have to issue warnings, you know.
Absolutely.
It is such a there's so many facets to an animal welfare officer's role in the community.
Absolutely. So the problem is this, right? And this is why it's mind-blowing, and this is why AHAWE came about. Because unfortunately, the entire sector is fractured. It is toxic, I suppose, the most tactful way of putting it. People have personal agendas and they play politics, and they totally lose sight of the fact that we should have a shared goal. And our goal is entirely AHAWE's goal. So the name AHAWE, let me start there, stands for the Agency for Human and Animal Welfare and Empowerment. Okay. Yes, we do have inspectors, but our core function at this point in time is the welfare and empowerment of humans and animals. And humans at this point, you know, it's impossible to separate humans and animals. We are totally interlinked, whether you have a pet at home or whether you wear clothes, or it's just impossible. So, and all those animals need to be recognized as sentient, and their welfare be seen to from the minute they're born until the minute they die. Okay. The same applies to humans. So how we came about, because everybody complains and nobody wants to do anything. Everyone's petrified. Everyone is my apologies, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but a lot of the people out there, the majority of the public, are uneducated. They're ignorant. Not because they're stupid, but you cannot claim ignorance in the eyes of the law. If you're an adult, you're supposed to know, right? If you want to drive a car, there are rules around that. You need to be of a certain age. You need to have a car that's roadworthy. You need to have a license. You need to be tested. And if you then break the rules, the road traffic rules, there are consequences. This is the way we live in a society, and that applies to everything. It doesn't mean, you know, you're not supposed to drive drunk. People are not going to drive drunk. They still do it, but there are consequences. In the sector where we work, there are no consequences. No one checks it. No one does it. Doesn't matter whether you complain. Like if there's corruption in any of the state organs, whether it is parliament, whether it is a political party, whether it's a police person, whatever, right? They have internal structures. They do investigations, and those people are suspended, and if they're found guilty, then you know, gotten rid of. So in this sector, that doesn't happen. It seems, you know, it's a bloody free for all. And
you know, I was
and then what you have is people are scared. because, you know, traditionally there's been an organization that was seen as the one and only. That's changed a long time ago, but people are still not informed with the fact that I'm an authorized inspector, right? So I have exactly the same rights, absolutely exactly the same rights as any SPCA or NSPCA inspector. Okay. The NSPCA I understand the must-have, but it's basically a franchise. That's the way I explain it to people. They are the controlling body of all the other societies that are that run under that flag, right? And that must be so. I have no problem with that. Absolutely. You have to be compliant. You have to listen to the laws. You have to do the thing. There's often this misunderstanding that because there's an SPCA Act, some or the other reason, you know, they have more. No, the SPCA Act is the franchise handbook. Read it. It's your responsibility to do it. You know, they have no more rights than I have. None.
Yeah.
So and understand me, I have great respect for them. They do brilliant work. They've done tremendous work over 150 years. Okay? No one can take that away from them. It's definitely not our mission. What we want to do is to get the entire sector regulated. So people, regardless of what badge you wear or which flag you fly, you will be respected, recognized, treated as a professional, because there's a lot that's going on in the background. We want to encourage our youth to become involved in animals are going to go away. No. The abuse is not going to go away, right? So we want to encourage youth to become involved in the sector. Give them something to hope and strive for, and not, you know, there was for a long time there's this sort of impression that you become an animal welfare. You become involved in animal welfare or an animal welfare inspector if you can't get a job licking stamps at the post office. That's the amount of respect. You pitch up at someone's property and they don't treat you as a law enforcement officer. They treat you as someone that didn't have something to do that morning. You know, why are you interfering in my business, sort of thing. And that is unfortunately, it's not only because of a belligerent personality that you're dealing with at that moment. To a large extent, the public is not aware of the fact of what exactly it is that a law enforcement officer is supposed to do when you're in the animal welfare sector. We have tremendous rights. Okay? We have people abusing those rights.
Michelle, that's kind of scary if there's no standard for education of animal welfare officer. And that person has all these powers. I mean, yeah, that's a bit scary.
Yes. So we have people running around at the moment who are authorized. I don't think they have a matric.
Yeah. And it also takes a certain person, you know, a person with integrity, a person that I suppose is unbribable. You know, you have to have a certain code of ethics when you take this position.
Yes, you have to. And, you know, understand that you will always, like I said, the fact that we have Road Traffic Act, right, doesn't mean people are not going to break the law. They're still going to do that. We just need consequences, right? There's always going to be the human factor. If you have one person in an organization that behaves like an idiot, doesn't make the whole organization bad. Doesn't. We have to really educate and inform. And education is not only that person you get to, and, you know, the dog is a little too skinny, and it's, you know, there's I'm not talking about owner education only. That also is a part of it, right? But we need to educate. We need to educate the public. We need to educate ourselves. I don't know everything. I've never said I know everything. Never. I can guarantee you there's stuff that someone else can teach me. The point is, are you teachable? Are you prepared to say, look, I don't know anything. I never thought of that. That's brilliant. Let's try that, you know. And if you have an open and approachable attitude toward the sector, one would expect that with us having the same goal, that we should be able to make inroads into this, right? So unfortunately, like I said, the sector is fragmented. It's because of a long history. Everybody's got an experience with you know, this one and that one, and you know, and while people are sitting blowing off steam, and it is needed, right? You need to be able to complain, but nothing is being done. Nothing is being done, and our drive and focus is now to get a formal qualification recognized on the South African NQF, where people can progress, right? Whatever. It's not about me, right? I don't want to say, oh, Michelle. It's not about Michelle. It's not. It's about who. When I'm long dead and gone, there's going to be a kid someday who's going to say, I want to be an animal police. You know, when they stand up in nursery school, and they've got to say what they want to be. Not everyone's supposed to be a doctor or a lawyer. No. And then we have such a vacuum, right? And we have such high unemployment, and we have crisis with animals. We have crisis with domestic and gender-based violence. All these things are connected. They are all connected.
Absolutely.
And that is why we sent out the public survey. We had brilliant response. It's been reworked. The data has been captured. We are presenting to government role players. We can't at this point obviously divulge a lot of our plans because unfortunately there's a lot of toxicity in the sector. A lot of people think, oh, Michelle wants to tell me what to do. No, Michelle wants the sector regulated. And you know what? When the qualification comes out, even though I am an inspector authorized already, Michelle is gonna have to go and rewrite it as well. Because then it's recognized. I'm not gonna go right. Do you understand? So I'm not trying to tell no one nothing. I want it regulated for all posterity. So it can become a career. So kids don't have to be ashamed, you know. That is where we are going with this. We are now breaking ground, making animal welfare and control a formal recognized career. That's where we're going.
But that's so important because there's this almost this expectation when you're in animal welfare that you should do stuff for free.
Oh, please don't get me started.
I want to get you started. And it's just, I just look at my own experience, you know, so much is done and you have this kind of guilt put on you as how dare you ask to at least cover your costs. Not even, you know, this is how do you survive, but you have to do these things for free and be guilted by others because you need to survive. And I think that's the brilliant thing about your goal as to making this a career, having structure, you know, having people follow a career path where they can grow, where they can learn, and where they can make impactful change. And
absolutely.
I mean, it's a noble career. It's like a nurse, a fireman, a doctor. These people, they provide a service, but it's also a calling. And the same with, I think, people in the welfare industry. I suspect, like me and many others, we fall into it. And there's a lot of sadness, a lot of disillusionment, and zero support.
Absolutely. So again, a lot of this is lack of education, right? And understanding of how stuff works. Because wherever you are, wherever I am, if I need to go somewhere, I need to put fuel in my car. You know, I need to pay my bills the 1st of November, like you say, right? Everyone's got bills to pay, shopping to do, kids at school, you know, whatever. Granny's birthday, whatever, right? We've all got stuff to do. And we don't get handed out, you know, freebies handed out to us. Absolutely. We don't get freebies handed out to us.
No.
There is this, and I understand where it comes from, right? Because everyone has got this philanthropic, I want to do something good because we want to feel good about ourselves, right? And if you can, and that's noble, that's good. I'm not discouraging that at all. But in the process, don't knock someone when they say, look, guys, we need money to do this, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot of the people out there, maybe like me, I have a gamey hip and a wonky knee, right? So I don't, unless it's really necessary and I really pump up on pain meds, I don't go running around in the streets anymore because I can't physically, right? When it's really necessary, I go. We'll take pills for 3 weeks. It's fine. We'll deal with it. But there are younger kids coming up, people who want to do this, and we need to empower them. And we need to empower those already in the industry who must be role models. And they mustn't be scared to speak out because of victimization or some company policy that says you can't speak to anything or anyone. How ridiculous can you get, right?
Yes.
So how are we going to progress if people are being threatened? You can't. Finish. And if, in my honest opinion is, if you are that threatened, you shouldn't be in this industry. You should take up crocheting or something. Do something. Do a blanket for the orphan elephants. I don't know. You can always still do something nice for animals, but don't because you have an issue with a person or control issues or whatever, don't project that on the entire sector. And that is unfortunately, and it's not only, it comes from across the board, right? Because everyone is now giftig. Do you understand? Everyone's out to get me. Everyone's going to try steal my my information. Everyone's going to now try come after me because I bred puppies in my backyard. No, we're going to educate you and we're going to show you how it should be done and what's the better way and why we say so. And then we're going to pull you on board because, do you understand? This is the only way. This is the only way. I mean, please, we have a new constitution in South Africa. Our constitution and our Bill of Rights is the supreme law in this country. I don't care who writes anything else on a piece of paper. If it's unconstitutional or it's against your human rights, I'm sorry, pick a number, go stand in the back. I'm very passionate about the fact that things need to be done right. Yes. People make mistakes. I make mistakes. Okay. But when someone says, Michelle, you did it wrong, or you made a mistake here, you know, then I'll say, oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. What must I do to fix it? How can we make it better? You understand? So if you cannot have that attitude, you shouldn't be in the sector. Sorry. That's my honest opinion.
Oh, I love talking to you, Michelle. One of the things also, because of the fragmented society, the lack of support, people in animal welfare end up breaking the law themselves to save the animals.
Yes, often.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be put in that position in the first place. And you're not going to, I believe that you're not going to change a system if you are set on breaking that system anyway. And I understand why it happens. For lots of reasons, frustration, compassion, you can't see an animal suffering. So you do these things outside of the law, but it shouldn't happen.
Again, I really and truly understand people want to save animals. They want to do something good. Whether or not they're authorized is, you know, to take action is now not the point, right? We have rules and laws in this country so we don't have chaos. Okay, civil society, so we have certain expectation. You don't expect to when you pulled over because you broke the law. People think it's funny, right? So a traffic officer pulls you over because you were speeding, or you know you're driving, weaving across the road because you're intoxicated. they joke about it, that you can bribe these people. You know? No. And then that person drives away and it takes out a family down the road. You know? And then everyone wants to complain after the fact. And then none of those people were laughing earlier when they say, you know, a 200 rand bribe or a Coke or a Kentucky. Oh, please, man. You know, double standards, much. The same should apply with us. The same should apply with us. Okay? I don't care who you are, whether you're authorized or a private individual. If I catch you breaking the law and I can prove it, I will lay charges. I will.
Yeah.
Okay?
You know, and at the end of the day,
there's a lot of corruption all over.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corruption all over. A lot of people. Now, this is the other thing. A lot of people, again, in the moment, they see an animal in a situation, they don't trust because of the fractured, sector. They don't trust the whoever, you know, because of Sunny, and they decide they're going to take action. They immediately put themselves at risk, right? Whatever organization they're affiliated with is immediately compromised, and obviously the animal, because a lot of those people don't have holding facilities, right? And then they take them to another Joe down the road who takes in all these fosters and rescues, and you know, we're pro-life and yada yada, and then the next thing is we have posts of this week. I think there were two, right? Or the past 2 weeks, correct me, a horrible hoarding situation in Cape Town, horrible hoarding situation in Gauteng, right? And again, hats off to the SPCA, they dealt with it brilliantly. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous, right? You have to have the right understanding and mindset to be able to function in this sector, because there are too many animals, not enough homes, not enough people educated or skilled, not enough support. You know, people don't, you know, they feel intimidated to approach someone because they're going to be victimized somehow or blamed somehow, instead of telling people, because I know people sitting, you know, 14 dogs in one house, you know. Why is no action being taken? Why?
Yeah.
That alone, I mean, it infringes on the bylaws as well.
Yes.
But why is no action being taken? There's inconsistencies throughout the sector, and it happens because there's no regulation. So I was very impressed with Mossel Bay municipality this week, or past weeks, because in their municipal court, they actually had a ruling against people walking with their dogs off leash in public spaces.
Correct, yes.
Yes, brilliant. So if municipalities would just actually enforce their bylaws and take it seriously, you'd probably take away a third of our problems. A third of our problems.
Yes.
So the problem,
I mean, the same with a lot of the municipalities have got bylaws about sterilization and breeding. You know, people think when you say they have to be a registered breeder, they think they have to be registered with CUSA. But actually, you need to check your local municipal bylaw and what they say. And should you be registered within the municipality? And there are certain things that you have to comply with to be able to breed. And if someone isn't complying, that needs to be reported to law enforcement, so that it can be dealt with, so that we can stop the unnecessary breeding of animals by lay people who are not, they have no business breeding, and it's just adding to the problem. I had an interesting comment this morning on a TikTok post where a lady said that people go to breeders and buy from breeders because the rescue organizations make it too difficult for them to adopt. But we have got this thing in our heads that because I can have an animal doesn't mean I should have an animal. And what does it say? If a rescue organization has certain standards and expectations, I know some of them, you know, like everything in life, there's think people get out of control with it. But there should be basic requirements, and you shouldn't have an animal just because you can have one. Can you provide for that animal for the duration of its natural life? And going back to the municipalities.
I need to correct you there,
okay,
because a lot of
Go
people look for the duration of its natural life. I need to put a side note on, because stuff happens. I nearly used another word. I told you I wouldn't curse. So life happens, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Life happens, and although you might commit to when you acquire that pet, whatever it is, that you're going to look after it for its entire life. Life happens, circumstances change, and you can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
You then need to also undertake to do the most responsible thing. Okay? A lot of people, unless you can be sure that you can place that dog in a next home, dog, cat, budgie, whatever, in a home where it will be taken care of, and you follow up, you should. And now people are going to have a conniption fit about this. With the amount of animals we have sitting in shelters at this point in time, the most responsible thing you can do is to love that animal as best as you can. Give it the best possible day in its life, whatever. Take it to the beach, play ball, do this, whatever. Give it a steak, and have it go to sleep. In your arms, have it go to sleep. Because what's happening, the minute you take that dog, let's talk about a dog, right?
Yeah,
to a shelter, it is immediately traumatized because of the environment. It is whatever behavior is going to happen is not necessarily going to be natural behavior. Dogs they only settle after a while. They say 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. You can literally break it down, to minutes. But the bottom line is this: not all those dogs are placed. They spend their lives in is that really what you want for this animal that you love so much? And then the next home is maybe not going to be so understanding, or it's not going to know this, and it's not. There's just no way you can control, to your best of your ability, the quality of that animal's life. People are selfish, so because you don't want to be upset and heartbroken, you take it to someone and you believe that dog's going to have the best life ever, from the next owner that comes. We don't know if it's going to get an owner, but reality is most of these animals don't get homes.
Yeah, that is unfortunately the sad reality.
A lot of the animals that do get offers homes get returned. And returned dogs most of the time gets put down. So, people don't want to hear the hard facts. We live in the real world out here. It's not all bubble plastic and fairy dust. We deal with real life, okay? And while you get to climb on your plane and go and resettle and start your life somewhere else happily ever after, I'm the one that stood having to hold your dog while it's put down, absolutely petrified out of its mind, because it's never known anything else or anyone else.
Yes.
I'm the one. A complete stranger has to now, do you understand? This is what makes it insane and selfish. And so if you commit to say, I'm going to take a dog or a pet, whatever, and you cannot guarantee the soft landing for that dog when you can no longer, when your circumstances change, it is your responsibility, because you signed up for it, right? Even if the dog lived for 20 years, when it gets to that time, you still need to. You signed up. You were going to be there for that dog when it gets put down at the vet, when it's old and whatever. So if you can't, why can't you then? Why? You want to rather put it in a system where you've got absolutely no control. None.
No control.
The minute you had it all, the control is gone. Right? So people shouldn't tell me, because look, we are all pro-life, but we are pro-quality life. Okay, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. And it's not quality life to spend 8, 10, 12 years in a kennel. No, it's not. as a pet, okay?
Yeah.
You need to distinguish between working animals and pets.
Yes.
There's so people need. We don't live in utopia. It's a nightmare out here. It's blood and guts out here in the real world, okay? And it is insanely selfish of owners to keep expecting pro-life, no kill, whatever, because they use these words to play on people's emotions, right? Instead of thinking of the common sense, and to guilt trip people, right? Instead of explaining to them what exactly your responsibility is when you do take on an animal, regardless of whether it's old and sick or young and healthy. When your responsibility stops, when you cannot take care of it any longer, the most responsible and respectful thing you can do for your own animal is to give it the best day in its life and then let it go to sleep in your arms. That is the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
People will
unless you can guarantee a safe landing, and not there are not many safe landings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for people to bash the SPCA because they euthanize, they need their heads read. They need to all go and say, we will take all of those dogs within the boundaries of the law, right? We're going to put up all of those dogs, pay all of the expenses. We're going to see that everything is done for those dogs, and then be open for random inspections any time of the day or night. Don't want to then tell me, no, it's my business, you got no right here. So, and because that doesn't happen, this is another aspect of the entire animal welfare sector that's why it needs to be regulated. Because if it is regulated, then we won't end up with let me not do that, Michelle. I nearly trapped myself. You're always going to have the exception, right? But we won't have as much of it, like the hoarding. And do you understand? They're organizations, they registered NPOs, guilty of exactly the same thing. Sorry.
No, Michelle, I think
I'm people's favorite person to hate because I say it as it is. I don't care what you're going to do. Hate me more.
We need to talk about the hard things. I see so many welfare people and they're on social media and they're crying, vet bills are over 90,000 Rand. They haven't got food for the dogs. They need to move premises because they've got evicted or they can't pay the rent or whatever the situation might be. And I have extreme compassion for them. But they are allowed to get into this position because the industry isn't regulated. There's nothing to keep them safe, because it is a certain type of person that they get into this roller coaster of I have to save. And we all want to save. No, rescue. I mean, rescue in itself says we want to save. It doesn't say I come to rescue to euthanize. So it's a complete contradiction. And that's what these people end up having to do is
look,
the SPCA. I mean, the mental strain that they must be under to the number of animals that has to be euthanized. Where's the support for those people?
Absolutely. This is one thing that really gets under my skin, and you must forgive me because sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself and then dan vloek ek soos 'n matroos, for people to say that anyone at the SPCA enjoys putting animals down, they need a clap, in my opinion. Okay? It just shows how little they actually know about what is really happening out in the real world. It just shows how totally disconnected they are, Kruger, please, just don't show me your ignorance. It is the most disgusting insult I have ever seen, and I can tell you, those people that keep saying it, I would recommend action, sort of like legal action, because it's harassment, it's bullshit, it's slander. Excuse me, that one slipped through. Anyway, the bottom line is this, right? There are not enough homes.
No.
There are not enough homes, not enough people, not enough money, not enough time, not enough resources. Whether it is the SPCA of pizza Pomeranian blackie somewhere in Pitsondergat. I don't care. We don't have the resources. We don't have the and we, you know, this whole thing started with you saying money, right? A lot of these people get involved in this because they have good hearts. I understand that they want to do the right thing, okay, which is brilliant. But let's do it within the boundaries of the law. Let's insist on doing stuff right, okay. And then if you see there's a challenge, let's all work together so we can achieve a common goal for the benefit of the animals. It might not be that one in that minute, but going forward, please, you know, what's going to happen when you leave this planet? What are you going to leave? What's your legacy going to be? You know, I helped 20, 50, 100 dogs, whatever. I don't know, many. Okay, the number is irrelevant. But what are you leaving for the next generation? For 150 years, there's been nothing. There's been nothing.
Yeah,
we definitely going to change that. That is our main drive and focus, to get the sector a formal qualification in the sector for all the people who've invested their lives. Like William, I'm sure, because look at this, we couldn't go to the AGM, which also is unfortunate, right? But because people like William and all the other people, forgive me, I keep talking about him, right? But he's not the only one. There are other people out there in private organizations, not necessarily, you know, the historic organization, who've also invested their entire lives, who've done amazing things, who run brilliant shelters. You know, stuff that we can learn from these people, and they need to be recognized and put up there as role models, and we really need to respect them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not about me. It's not about, you know, it's not. It's about every single inspector out there. Sorry, I just got a bit emotional. It's about every single inspector out there who you know, it hits very close to home, who puts their life in danger, who's been hijacked, who at gunpoint, who this week, again 2 days ago, Cape of Good Hope had to respond to a complaint. They were attacked by the community. Bricks and knives and God knows what all else. The public don't respect us. That must change. Okay? We have enough authorization, legal authority. When you authorize, we work with SAPs most of the time. You know, we need to really join hands with your community forum guys. We need to work with everyone. Okay. Yeah, excuse.
No, it's
there
fine.
There are people out there. What's that lady? Oh, God help me. What's that lady? She went to go and help a kitten. She was killed for her cell phone. In this year.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I can't remember now, Michelle.
But people are literally putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
They are heroes. I don't care if there is.
And they deserve support and respect. And when I started speaking to you a little while ago, I got really emotional because it's so befriended. It releases you because you know that there's people. Thank you. There's people like you who so tirelessly work to make things better and to provide structure and to give to fight for the recognition of the role of animal welfare officers and inspectors. And it is, you know, it's going to take time, and it, like you say, and AHAWE stands for that as well, is to cooperate and work together with like-minded groups and individuals, you know.
Absolutely. So it's the only way forward, right? You're not going to do anything or achieve anything in isolation. Never.
No. No.
Okay.
And it's
And like I
also
said, I
not
mean,
about who's right and who's going to win and who's going to be getting the prize. The only prize goes to to the animals, to creating an environment where that empowers welfare people to
yes.
save lives and also protect
So
their own lives. Yeah.
if there has to be a prize, if there has to be a prize, I want it to be for the next generations. Okay.
Yes.
Because there's a brilliant story of a young boy that walks past an old man busy planting an apple tree, young seedling.
Mm.
And the boy stops next to the old man and he says to him, why'd you bother? You know, you're not even going to be alive when that thing bears fruit.
Mm.
And he says, because when I got here, there were apple trees.
Mm.
So you need to think about that a little bit. When I got here, we didn't have regulations or anything, but I want to leave something behind so that I don't want to leave a fractured, I don't want to leave a fractured sector. People don't need to like me, man. We don't need to be the best of buds. We honestly don't. But if we have the same goal, we should work together. We don't need to do cake and tea. We don't. It's fine.
No.
I'm not going to like everyone. Not everyone's
There's
going
no
to like
time
me.
anyway.
But if you tell me you are passionate about animals and the welfare of animals, and you have any inkling of what happens to people who are on boots on the ground and what they are exposed to, right? Because understand this, as an animal welfare inspector, whether or not you are employed, you are on standby 24/7, 365, because your phone rings and shit happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's what we need to work. If that's not your goal, we can't. You know, if you cannot put animals above everything else, whatever your opinion about me is, if you cannot do that, then I think you're in the wrong industry. I think people need the problem we are facing are bigger than any one of the problems we might have with each other.
Yes.
And if you're serious about making a change, you should be big enough to overcome that.
Yes.
And that's where I am. I don't care which. I will work with anyone. If we like-minded and our views and vision and missions align, I will work with anyone. I don't care where you are, where you're from, what your surname is, what your back. I don't care what you expect. I don't care. I need you to be passionate, and I need you to understand what the problem is that we are facing.
Yeah. Oh, Michelle.
Ek kan baie praat, né? Oh my word.
I usually know when me and you start, it's like, okay, I can just block an hour because it will go. And there's so much more to discuss. And I think what we need to do is maybe invite you back and give us an update, you know, in future on how things are going. Once you release the statistics from your survey, because I'm very keen to see that.
That'll probably, you know, it was mind-blowing. I am so stoked, right?
Yeah.
It was absolutely mind-blowing, the results. Because of our planning going forward, our strategic planning going forward, we can't release everything right now.
Yes.
Also, it's that time of the year. You know, everything and everyone is trying to wind down because everyone's chasing Christmas now and New Year. But 2025 is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be, 2025 is going to be amazing. And we are very, very excited. We have tremendous expectations going forward. You know, if in 150 years we couldn't get anything done, if it takes us a year or two, I will take it now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Okay, so the processes are running. We don't have control over all of those. People, diaries, timelines, availability, you know, and then life happens while you make plans. So the public needs to be a little bit patient and understanding, because we do not control everything, but I can guarantee you we keep uh, uh, stirring the pot. So you know, it's gonna. We
I
will not
love
allow
that.
this thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we will. And we have brilliant people coming on board. Everyone that we present to absolutely buy into it. They understand, and everyone's blown away because people just tend to carry on with life. You know, they don't really talk about what the real issues are. And because they're not involved in it, they don't get to live and see it, right? And we've had tremendous response.
Great.
So super stoked about what's coming 2025.
Yeah. I think
Yes, and
cool.
no, it's you know, again, I was just gonna say that the guys on the ground are really the biggest motivation to me. I appreciate that, you know, we've got people in management sitting in the back office, you know, writing papers, taking phone calls. The guys with the boots on the ground, those are my heroes. Okay, because they get exposed to not only the cruelty, but the abuse and the absolute insult. I don't, you know, but tomorrow they're going to put their uniforms on, or you put your tackies back on and you're back in the street, you know? Yeah. So we have a very special thing coming for all the guys with the boots on the ground. Okay. And again, you know, we put out an invitation with a survey. I hope that people will respond more than, you know, from organizations. I hope that people understand that this is not about me and it's not about us, you know, us wanting to control everyone. I'm sorry, my hand is just quirky. So, but we're putting together a very special event for everyone that works in the sector for next year for recognition, specifically whether or not the qualification is up already, because I believe those people not only need, you know, on a daily basis support with resources and finance, but they definitely need recognition. We need to start projecting role models to our youth. Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah, and we need these people to be available. You know, that's what we're going to be doing. So we really, our approach is a holistic one. It's not a lording over you thing, not, but it has to become regulated, and we want to do it so everyone benefits.
Already got messages coming in. How can we get involved? I want to be involved. So, you know, Michelle, we need to keep talking about this, and we need to keep talking about the difficult subject. It's just like you say, it's not all fairy dust and bubble wrap. It's blood and guts, and lives are at stake, both human and animal.
Absolutely.
And now, you know, if there's ever a time for a call to change to be effective, and for you, anyone passionate about this, to take up that call, now is the time. I think, you know, if people want to reach out to you, where can they get hold of you?
Our email is info@ahawe.co.za. Okay. And our telephone number is on our Facebook page. Okay. So please rather WhatsApp, because who knows what we're busy with. We'll respond as soon as possible, obviously. Our website is being developed. It will hopefully go live before the end of the year. Stuff keeps changing, so we keep needing to change it. Yes. So hopefully, we're hoping that'll be, you know, by the end of November, it'll go live. Yeah. We're very excited about that too. There's a lot of stuff coming in 2025. Again, I don't want to spill the beans right now, because I do tend to get carried away and then I just say stuff. So let me not. but watch this space. It's going to happen. Stuff is going to start getting very real. Watching. Yeah. And it's an honor, you know. I might not be able to run around in the streets anymore and catch the dog that ran out or whatever. But for me, I feel that it's an honor for me to be in service of every single inspector. I don't care where you're from. I'm doing it for you. I'm there for you because you deserve recognition. You deserve respect. And I'm going to see it done. That's what we do.
Good. We're right behind you, Michelle. All right.
100%. Thank you so much. Any
thank
questions?
you so much.
Specific questions? I don't know if there's anything specific you want me to answer.
Yeah, there were a few questions answered. One of them that popped up was about how can businesses get involved with helping with this, you know, so.
Well, obviously, you know, we do have inspectors that do respond. If we can't get anyone, like when we get complaints, right? We obviously try to find out what area it is. If there's not an SPCA close by that can respond, we try to send someone out if they're available. But our core business is really pushing for the qualification and the recognition of our guys on the ground, right? And again, if I say our guys, I'm not talking about only AHAWE people. I don't care who you are. If you authorized and you can do the job, I need to be able to say, we have a problem in your area. Can you respond, please? You know, so that's, we need to work together. We need to work together. But for us to be able to drive this thing in the background, we also have resource challenges. So definitely, a lot of it is developing. A lot of it is presenting. A lot of it is education. Yes. So definitely, we also need assistance.
Yeah, so they can also reach out to you on your email or either via WhatsApp or your Facebook,
Absolutely.
Facebook page. Yeah, to get involved with this because it needs everyone.
Yes, so we have like workshops, right, that we offer to the public about rights and responsibilities as an owner, what your rights and responsibilities are. We've offered this as also as a fundraising event to organizations. So they can also fundraise off that. If the community is not aware of what their rights and responsibilities are, then you know we have problems. The more we educate people, the better.
Okay.
So the same also applies to corporates. The same also applies to whatever forces, whether it's police, whether it's metro, whether it's so we all about keeping the conversation going. We have to. The minute you sort of shut people down and I won't talk to you or I won't associate with you or you're a bad person or whatever, there can be no growth. You know? So we have to keep talking to everybody. And those that don't are self-limiting. That's the bottom line. So we encourage everyone really to take part. Talk to us. Are we addressing, say for instance, you have a problem with stacking numbers in shelters, like if I say that's like not 1 or 2 dogs per kennel, you probably have 4 or 6. You know, what are we doing about that? How are we going to address that? Because these are issues that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So please reach out to us. If you feel that we've missed something or we are not educated enough or qualified enough or have enough experience, please offer your services. We'll tell you what we need you to do. We can't do everything, right? And that is why also it takes time because we need to make sure that what we are going to be offering and putting out there is going to be the best.
And you need the input of everyone at all levels.
Absolutely.
It's not a one-dimensional thing.
Absolutely. So I believe we live in the age of the specialist. I've said this to you before. So I'm not going to be telling people stuff about parvo. I can tell you stuff about, but it's not my job. I'm not a vet. Vets will be telling you stuff like that.
Yeah. Michelle, just go one question. This is a nationwide initiative. It's not just limited to one province. Yes.
This is for South Africa. I don't care where you are.
Okay.
I don't care where you are. This is for South Africa. And all of South Africa, I would even extend it to say that we also deal with organizations that are international.
Yes.
So, again, like I say, I can't put everything out on the table at this point in time. It's fragile still. And because it's such a huge project, we work with a lot of people. It is unfortunate that some people, also because of the toxicity of the sector at this point in time, do not have the freedom or feel comfortable to make it known. It's unfortunate, but
it will come.
Yes,
it will change,
yes,
because it needs to change.
absolutely.
It can't continue the way it is.
Absolutely. So, also for as big and wide as the animal welfare sector is, it's also actually quite small, because the grapevine, a lot of people know a lot of people know a lot of people. So, yes, and it depends on how you apply it, right? And we're gonna definitely use everything we can to ensure that we offer the best possible way forward that is sustainable. It's not going to be a shot in the dark and let's see what happens kind of thing. What we are putting together is going to be something that's sustainable, in line with international standards. Do you understand? So it's going to take time, but we have to work together. And again, I will work with anyone. I actually prefer if I can. My best friends are people that I can have a stand-up argument with, and then 5 minutes later we'll have coffee. Because I expect you to, be open-minded. We're not going to agree on everything all the time, Antoinette. Not even you and I, right? We're not going to agree on everything all the time, 100%. But we should agree on more than we disagree on.
Yeah,
and that is what
and the passion should
hoping,
come through.
Absolutely, and that is what I'm hoping the sector in South Africa will see. We should agree on much more than the small little bits we disagree on.
Yeah,
and the stuff we disagree on, we don't need to, and then to focus on. We need to focus on what we aim to achieve, and that's where I'm going. The guys on the ground, they're very close to my heart. We've had people commit suicide in this sector. Okay. Not, and it's a very, very bad incident happened in East London SPCA. A guy killed himself with a captive bolt in the kennels a couple of years ago. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. I mean, if that doesn't scream to you that something needs to be done for these guys, then what? So, again, open invitation. Every organization out there, whether you NSPCA, SPCA, wet nose, I don't care who you are. Everyone's welcome. We want to work with every one of you because we're not stopping. And I would rather have you be part of the process right now, in the beginning. And everyone was invited, right? Everyone was invited. Not all of them responded. Some of them said no. So it's never too late. We all make mistakes. We can move on. Because it's not about me, and it's not about shaming, and it's not about name calling, and it's not about that. It's about the animals. End of story. That's where we go.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yes, please, if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, like
you always blow me away.
Ek het alles gepraat, Antoinette. Jeez.
Ja, but it's good. I'm so glad. Ek is so bly dat dit uitgekom. That people can see who you are, and there is a way forward, and we need to work together because it, yeah, for the diere, for the animals, hey? Why does it have to
Absolutely.
be so difficult? Anyway,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna,
And you know what is it's not unattainable. All the
no,
people
it's
who
not.
sit in all the people who sit, for instance, in government, they're normal people too.
Mm.
They're normal people too. They've just
Yeah.
never had the information. They've just never had the information. So we're putting it together in digestible format, and they're blown away.
Yeah.
They're blown away. So I am super excited, really and truly. A lot of people are doing brilliant work. I keep saying it is senseless. You know, if we're all on the same river, we shouldn't have 7 canoes, man. We should all climb into one canoe. That's all we need.
Big boat.
And we should all work together. It's not about getting the limelight, or it's not about that. To me, it's not about that. I just want it done. I just want it done. Before I die, I want it done. And yeah, we need to unify the sector, and we need to, even if there's was problems in the past, we need to say we're not talking about the past. We're closing that book, new chapter, clean slate.
Yeah.
Please come to our events. Please support us. We're doing this for you. It's not for anyone in particular. It's for the collective. And we need you guys. We need to do it. So that's me.
Great stuff. All right, Michelle.
Awesomeness. You must
I'm
have
so excited.
fabulous weekend.
And have a lovely weekend. And I'll let
Thank you
know as soon as this thing is available. I'll send it on to you and you can share it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll do that.
Great stuff. Thank you, Michelle, for your time.
Have a wonderful day.
There's more to come. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.